The Boots Ennis versus Stanionis card had quite a few statement things that I wanted to get into today. And there's no other way I could possibly start this segment off than other than talking about the man himself, Boots Ennis. When we were heading into this fight and all the pre-talk, there was a lot of criticism regarding Jaron Boots Ennis. Last year, he did not perform to the level in which people wanted to see him perform at. Everybody felt like there was just something missing from Boots Ennis. And now we head into this fight, and fight week was building up, and we look at him being weight drained. It did not look very swell, to be honest, when we talk about the weight drain component, because Boots Ennis was not looking too good a couple days before the fight. However, he did make his weight just fine. And then we head into the fight on Saturday night. And he gives us a masterful career performance that night. It was, without a shadow of a doubt, the best performance of his career when it mattered most for him. A unification fight where he was able to win 3 of the belts now. Most notably, the Ring Magazine belt, which obviously is regarded as the most prestigious award or belt to win in all of boxing. And in that fight, I want to break down a few things from him. Because when I review that fight and we talk about what went down in the duration of those 6 rounds before the doctor stoppage, or the corner retirement, I should say, occurred after round 6, we saw a special version of Boots Ennis. And listen, I hear all the debate and criticism still going on about Boots Ennis. Well, saying, hey, his defense is not superb. Yes, he was still taking hits. Yes, he was still taking on different things and whatnot. But listen, the fact of the matter is that's the way Boots Ennis fights. And as boxing fans, we need to start appreciating what boxers bring to the table. Not all boxers are going to be Floyd Mayweather 2.0. Some guys are going to take some hits to be able to land some hits. And that's what Boots Ennis does. And beyond that, if we're really going to get into specifics of what happened in that fight, you can't deny the fact that Boots Ennis was evasive in that fight, that he was avoiding a lot of great punches, and that he seemed to be a step or two ahead majority of the time. Yes, he still took some hits, but he looked just fine. He was eating those punches with quite ease, if we're going to be honest there. That fight showed a level of Boots Ennis' capability that we all knew he had in him, and now we get to see it come to fruition. The Boots Ennis that we saw fight Saturday night is the guy, without a shadow of a doubt, is the best fighter at 147, and it's not even comparably close to anybody else. You can give him Mario Barrios or Brian Norman, the 2 of the champions currently. It's not going to be a competitive fight. Yes, I'd like to see Brian Norman fight. That'd be great. Yes, I'd like to see Undisputed. That would not be too shabby. But let's be honest now. Boots Ennis is the best competition for Boots Ennis to possibly go after, if he's fighting the way he did Saturday night, is at 154. And we know there's a whole lot of big names at 154 that he could go after. And so that leads me to a point in which I want to discuss. What is next for Boots Ennis? Well, here's some things on the table. There's 3 guys that are all going to be fighting in a couple of weeks in Times Square. All rumored to possibly be moving up to 147, or already have done so, and that being Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez, Ryan Garcia. All those fights would be entertaining and would be big fights to possibly make. The way Boots Ennis looked Saturday, I would be shocked if he would lose to any of those guys. I think Haney would have the best matchup if we're going to go looking at guy by guy. I think he gives the best possible opposition to Boots Ennis. However, those are the guys you could possibly bring in from 140. Then we go to 147. I just said Brian Norman, Mario Barrios. I'll throw another name out there. If Conor Benn potentially upsets Chris Eubank, or if Conor Benn at least looks very, very good against Chris Eubank, that could be a mega fight to have happen. You talk about 2 big brands that could be a big star potential fight to possibly have occur at 147. Or we look at 154. Virgil Ortiz, Charlo, or Spence. All makes sense. Now, Spence seems to be rumored at possibly still fighting 147 or 154. It seems that he's kind of going back and forth. I'm not sure he knows exactly what he's going to do in his return fight. But those are guys that I see on the table. Now, you might say, why do I not have Boots fighting a champion at 154? Well, listen. He will have to work his way up a little bit. 154 is a stacked division. One of the belts is kind of binded up right now with Bud Crawford. Who knows what's going to happen there? Then you have Sebastian Fundora has 2 of the belts. That could be an interesting fight to make there. And then third guy, Bakur Murtavaliev. If I'm Boots, I'm not going to go after those guys right out the gate. When you have a fight that could be mega, that would set you up for a world championship fight then, if you go and fight Virgil Ortiz. Charlotte or Spence could also make sense if those are available, or if those fights are available for himself. But what I really want to note here about Boots Ennis is that, yes, there was not a rehydration clause, so he was able to rehydrate fully, and that could have led to the energy in the way he fought this weekend. But I talked about it a little bit ago, and I really want to put a larger emphasis on this component. When we look at boxing fans, a lot of fans like to go after fighters and critique them, which is fine. Every guy has room to improve. No matter what industry you're in, you can always make room to improve. But we also need to realize that sometimes some fighters, if they're being successful in their ways, they need to embrace that type of ability that they have. Some guys are not going to be guys that are expert, top of the notch, high level defensive fighters. And some guys are not going to have the punch output that you'd like. Some guys are not going to have the KO ability. Who am I possibly referring to? Well, Shakur Stevenson is one guy. Obviously, people complain he does not have the KO power. He's a guy that's going to be such a great defensive player or fighter, but he's not a guy that's going to be able to go produce on the offensive end to the likes of a Tank Davis. But we don't just appreciate the defensive prowess that he has. Likewise with Boots, a lot of people want to complain, well, he's not very good on defense. He still is getting hit by Stanionis. And Stanionis has one heck of a jab, and he is one heck of a fighter. I don't want to take anything away from Stanionis because I think that he could debatably be the second best fighter at 147. I think they just ran into a guy in Boots Ennis who was leaps and bounds better than him that night and is a guy that I think truly is the best fighter at 147 without a shadow of a doubt. So we need to start embracing guys. This is what Boots Ennis is. He's not going to be the best defensive fighter in the entire game of boxing. That's not who he is. He's going to take some hits, but he's going to deliver them. And he obviously showed his ability to take hits and not be affected by it. And so I think we need to embrace this because that was Boots Ennis's best performance of his career. And it now gets him in position where I know eyes are going to be on him and say, hey, whatever your next fight is, it has a chance to be even massive, even bigger now. Because we're talking about a guy that everybody's bought into now. We see the potential. Some guys are already starting to put him on the top 10 pound list. I'll share mine in a few moments, but he's nearing that top 10 most certainly. And so it's going to be interesting to see what unfolds there.